I am going to tell you about a time when I respected somebody's rebellion, and then after that, a relationship between us naturally grew to the point where we had a good connection and we both wanted to meet each other's needs. So the setting was I was working with a group of guys who were on probation. And the idea was for me to come in every week and teach them about conflict resolution, which is not a good setting for that, because for an actual conflict to be resolved, everybody needs to feel like their needs are equally as important as the others, and for everybody to have equal support and accountability. And it just wasn't that situation. These young guys had to be there under threat of punishment if they didn't come. So that's just the opposite of conflict resolution. That is conflict. That's punishment and force and domination. So I wanted to come there with the energy of respecting the fact that they didn't choose to be there, and that I wanted them to know that I considered them equal and that I didn't have any judgments about why they were there or anything. They were just equal human beings that I wanted to potentially pass on some information that had helped me too. So we were using the circle format, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the circle format, you all get together you sit in a circle, and then you pass around a talking piece, and then whoever holds the talking piece, everybody listens to them, and then you pass it around. And so that way everybody gets a chance to be heard if they want to, and anybody can pass at any time. So nobody has to talk, but if you want to talk, then you get heard. And that's a good thing, because in just a regular setting with a bunch of different people, there will be people who are naturally more outgoing and other people who are more reserved, but maybe they want to say something. And so this talking piece is a great way to make sure that everybody who wants to be heard gets heard. So in the spirit of the talking piece, my first question on my first day working with these guys was, I'm going to pass around the talking piece and just ask, is everybody willing to use the talking piece? Are you willing to listen to whoever holds the talking piece? And my first guy to my left, when I passed it to him and asked if he was willing to use the talking piece, he said, "No, I don't want to use it." And I was prepared for that. I remember what it was like to be a teenager and to be annoyed that people are forcing me to go to school and listen to people that maybe I don't want to listen to, or do things that I don't want to do. And so I loved his rebellion automatically. But this would have worked even if I was uncomfortable and I didn't love his rebellion, or I didn't feel appreciative of it. I think the same outcome would have happened. So what I did was I just respected where he was coming from. And I said, all right, what's the need that you have that keeps you from saying yes to my request? And he just said, I don't know, I just don't want to do it. I said, all right, I can understand that. And we went back and forth like that for a bit. And then after a while, I just said, well, I think we're at an impasse, because you don't want to use the format that I want to use, and I'm not really sure how to have a good discussion where everybody else gets heard without this way that I know. That's kind of my only way that I know. So could we just pass it around and see what other people say? And by this point, everybody else was just going, dude, come on, just please say yes. And so we pass it around, and everybody says yes, yes, yes. And then we get to another guy, and he said, well, I'll try. I don't know that I can, but I'll try to stay quiet when everybody else is talking. And I said, great, that works for me. You'll do it somewhat to the best of your abilities. I like that. I can work with that. And so we passed it around and got back to that first guy. And I said, well, now that you've heard what everybody else said, and this other guy said that he would try to do it to the best of his abilities, is that something you could do? And by now, the first guy just said, yeah, he could do that, because he was just testing me, and I knew that he was testing me, and I appreciated that, and I tried to make space for it. I really didn't want him to participate unless he saw the value in it, unless he really wanted to participate. And having the space to say no allowed him to give me the gift of participating, which he wouldn't have been able to give if he was forced to, because you can't force somebody to give a gift. You can steal from them, but you can't force them to give a gift. And that's tragic, because that's what is most important to human beings. That's what we really enjoy the most, is when we freely help somebody, contribute to their lives, and receive appreciation for it. That's the best thing. And even some people that, have caused some harm, that you wouldn't expect to have that attitude, they do. Most of us really appreciate contributing and receiving appreciation. So from that point on, the rest of the time, that guy was one of the most frequent contributors to the conversation, and he spoke with a lot of authenticity and vulnerability, and he never wanted to test me again. It wasn't necessary, because I passed the test, I guess. And so I wanted to share that with you, because I think that is a good analogy for every situation of conflict. When somebody feels like when somebody is being forced or coerced through threat of punishment or a promise of a reward or a guilt trip or something like that, they don't want to participate, and they might do it in order to avoid the punishment or get the reward, but it's not a real relationship where there's an actual contribution to somebody's well-being and an actual reciprocation of appreciation. And in those kind of situations, you have to have the resources to keep bringing the punishments or keep bringing the rewards, or else the people are just going to leave or turn around and try to coerce you now. All right, thanks for listening. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to hear more about conflict resolution and communication and restorative justice. And you can also find me on Instagram. All right, have a good one.